Some scandals are so massive that they're simply hard to believe. But this one is true. As many as 1 million white English children may have been the victims of Muslim rape gangs, better known as grooming gangs, in towns up and down Great Britain. Policy analyst George Igler.
I mean, when you counter an issue that is just so unbelievable, just so outside your frame of reference and understanding, the immediate human reaction is just not want to believe it at all.
Perhaps even harder to believe is that while there have been prosecutions, British authorities have still not stopped this criminal activity. There's a particular problem involving Pakistani heritage men who target young, vulnerable white English girls. Not my words, but a member of Parliament, Jack Straw, who also said these Pakistani heritage men view white English girls as, quote, easy meat. This is when some shout racism, but here are the facts. Calculations based on convictions show that a British Muslim male is 170 times more likely to be part of a sex grooming gang than a non-Muslim. And there are no recorded instances of non-Muslims doing this to Muslim girls as part of a criminal enterprise. In one local jurisdiction, it was estimated that 6 out of 7 Muslim males either knew about or were part of a grooming gang.
What you do not have is any example of non-Muslim men targeting Muslim girls for this organized form of abuse. So the argument that this crime exists everywhere is not only false, but is being deliberately cultivated by the media and by the government inquiry that is kicking the can down the road.
The grooming gangs have been traced back as far as the late 1980s. At-risk white English girls, often from broken homes and some as young as 9 years old, were wooed or groomed by teenage Muslim boys called Romeos, and even by groups of Muslim men who hung around school gates. The plan was to make the girl feel important. She was given gifts and drugs, but she was being groomed to be a drug-addicted prostitute. Then came the gang rapes. The girls were threatened with death if they tried to flee.
It's not just sexual abuse. It is unspeakable levels of violence. Victims being raped with knives, victims being raped with bottles, victims having their tongue nailed to tables. These are sometimes girls who are being picked up from children's homes on a Friday, are being raped during the course of the weekend by hundreds of men, and then returned with bleeding groins back to the children's homes on a Monday morning, and they don't do anything about it at all.
Christine's goddaughter was preyed on by the grooming gangs and is helping girls through the group Women Against Grooming.
They pulled up by the side of her in cars. They tried to get her in the car. They were talking to her, come on, come with us, we'll take you here, we'll take you there.
Were you saying that the authorities make it sound like it's the English girl's fault?
Yeah, or the parents' fault. It's your fault because you haven't got control of your child.
If you are a young English girl, particularly between the ages of 9 and 14, and you find yourself subject to the perversions of Muslim men, you effectively exist in a country where the forces of law and order don't exist at all.
Stephen Lennon, also known as Tommy Robinson, former leader of the English Defence League, was just a young boy in the town of Luton when he learned a family member had been victimized by a grooming gang.
My cousin was raped and she was found naked running from the Muslim community, aged 13. The police wouldn't help. All the police would say is she's a drug addict. She was a drug addict because they got her hooked on drugs after grooming and raping her.
Some say grooming gangs originate from a particular region of Pakistan, but others point out that the Quran encourages Muslims to take enemy women as sex slaves, and that Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old wife. ISIS defends sexual slavery as Islamic, saying enslaving the families of the infidels and taking their women as concubines is a firmly established aspect of the Sharia, or Islamic law. The reason these crimes were covered up and continue to this day is political correctness. No one wanted to be called a racist. The definitive book on this scandal is Easy Meat by Peter McLaughlin, who declined an on-camera interview for safety reasons. He told us journalists would not speak about it because the perpetrators were mostly dark-skinned and Muslim. Childcare professionals used political correctness as an omerta, a code of silence concerning what the public was allowed to know.
These girls are the victims of a multicultural revolution, and it's certainly an indication of the fact that this accusation of racism is potentially the most powerful political weapon known to man. This is also an example of what can happen in a country of 60 million where the press just refuse to report, where the cries of all these agencies fail to merely discuss what's going on, and it's only going to get worse for this reason.
The cover-up was eventually exposed, yet the grooming gangs continue to operate. One victim told a British newspaper, "Nothing has changed, not in the slightest. It's still the same scale as before."
They get sexual kicks out of ruining the most precious possession that those people have, their daughters.
Stephen Lennon warned that there will be repercussions.
But there will be a lot of blood spilled in this country, and it'll be on the hands of our leaders. And there'll come a time when they'll realise what they've done. And the country's people will realise what they've done as well. They've sold us out, they've destroyed our nation, they've destroyed our culture.
Dale Hurd, CBN News, London.
Can we just say one thing? You can either speak to us, your own thing in house, what we're called predator exposure. Can you just show me the picture? Can you just ask me? I'm just asking you nicely.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. Z, this is you.
Okay.
Yeah? Is that you?
Yeah.
Right, can we ask you some questions, or do you want me to bring police? Do you want to come out and talk to us?
Yeah.
Come out and talk to us.
Just one.
Yeah. Come out and talk to us. Yeah, Z. You've not on you what's going to harm us or harm you, have you?
Yeah.
You've not in your pockets, have you?
No, nothing.
No, sir. Right, we just actually what we're called predator exposure.
Okay.
Yeah, you've been speaking to a child. Yeah, so we've just come to ask for an explanation why you've been doing this.
No, look, I didn't meet him. He asked me to meet him.
Yeah.
That's why
Right.
he was saying, you meet me tonight. I said no.
Listen, we're just talking to you normal, sir, and we're just asking why have you sent them messages to him?
and pictures.
Why? Can you explain to us? That's what we're just asking you, and that's all.
No.
Yeah.
I was thinking, most of the guys said they are 14, and mostly I got records in my chat as well. But they are not.
We've got it all on chat.
I didn't.
We've got all on chat. Can someone phone the police? Right, police are coming in here. So we phoned the police already, just to make sure, for your safety. And we're only recording now for your safety and our safety. We're not here to harm you whatsoever.
Because I didn't meet him.
This is your chat. When are you free? I suppose. Hold on. Let me go.
I want to meet you.
You want to meet us? Kissing, sucking, licking, and fuck. Why would you say that? Did you know that he was 14 years old?
No, I didn't meet
Well,
him.
it's all on here. We've got all your chat here. We've got all your chat here. The police are on the way now.
Okay.
So we're only filming this so you know we're not here to harm you.
No,
in any way.
It's okay.
Okay, you understand me?
No.
So, but do you know in English law this is against the law?
Okay, I didn't meet him anyway.
You didn't?
No.
Pictures of yourself?
You've sent pictures of yourself. Shall I show you the pictures, sir?
Okay, so
You've sent this is pictures of you.
Okay.
Yeah. What you've sent of yourself. This is the picture of your. Is this a picture of you?
Yeah, it's mine.
Right then. So have you sent these pictures?
Yeah.
Right then. So why did you do that, sir?
No, I didn't attempt to meet him.
But you're still sending. You're sending an underage boy pictures of yourself.
No, I didn't.
What? Do you know what this is called? Do you know what we called you?
What?
Paedophile. Do you understand me? No, I mean you're talking to you now because police are going to come on the way. They'll speak to you. Right.
We try and raise awareness, and all of us raise awareness about the problems that are happening in our towns and cities. Any victim who has come forward, any victim who has experienced the horrific crimes committed against them shows amazing courage. Some of you may have seen, we have a victim here today who's been victim to these predators and these gangs. Her name is Amy. She's going to be brave enough to speak today. So it shows courage to go up against it. It's going to show you. Oh.
And they're still doing today. The social services involved in the case when I was 11 to the age of 14, they didn't even have any training until last year. All these people, I did interviews, hours on end, and these people are still walking around today, heads held high, threatening my family with firearms. I mean, it's disgusting. It's disgusting, and I'm here today because I'm a strong survivor, and I believe no matter how many people come to my house and torture my family, we all stand strong, and we will stand strong until we get justice. My father recently has moved out of the family home to try and protect the family. People have made the threats come 10 times worse. My family have contacted police, they don't come out. 5.5 hours for a firearm. I was lying in my bed at 2:20 in the morning, and 15 police officers come to my house, busting my door when they could have been going to my family's house. 15 people for firearms coming to my house for no reason, saying that they had a phone call that I was trapped in a house and I was going to kill myself. But they send 15 officers to my house, and something so serious with firearms and things like that, they don't take it seriously. They offer my mom an asthma warning, but they don't offer to move them out of the area. It is disgusting, vile. Police officers in Telford have been handed envelopes full of money for evidence to be dropped. Well, I am not allowing it any longer. These people to justice. Area, grooming young vulnerable girls like myself. Even 12 years old, I went and I seen a girl in a freezer, dead, and they tell me if I spoke out that would happen to me. And this is why I'm a strong survivor today with my own These people will not intimidate my family much longer. I will get justice even if I have to do it with my own bare hands. I'm sick of it. I am sick to death of it. 4 years of my life was torn by these disgusting, they're not even humans. They are monsters. These people are monsters. All of them are connected. Every last one of them. Let me tell you something. In 2013, on the 30th of September, I went for an abortion, and they offered me £15,000 to keep a baby off a fucking monster. Sorry for swearing, but this is how I feel. This is how I feel, and today I have been given the chance to stand here and talk about these monsters. These monsters. Social workers, they put behaviour contracts in place. They never stuck to it. My family were told to lock me in rooms to keep me safe. They would take me upstairs, flats that I'd never known. Well, I hope everybody in Telford and the people here today see this, and other people come forward. We was never allowed to talk to each other. Never. We said hello and goodbye. Well, I tell you now, this might have messed up my family mentally, but we will emotionally come through this. We are stronger than these people think, and we will pull together as one. dad spoke to Tommy, Danny, in a video, and it's all broadcasted on YouTube, and he can tell you in more detail than I can because I'm very emotional. But if you watch that video, you will see it, that it's emotionally and mentally drained the family. It has torn our family apart now to the extent that my family are split. My family are split. My dad's gone, my mom and my brothers are there, my sister and her little boy. We need help get them out in the best possible way possible. These people have now gone searching places. Only yesterday, 10 people went searching for my uncle in a place that he goes the most. And luckily, he wasn't there. He wasn't there, but his friend was. And this makes me think that they're coming sooner than we think. So, in the next couple of days, these people will come to justice, and it will come to light that we will not give up. With Danny. Danny's tried his best. I've been sat on the phone at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, stressing about my family. I can't sleep at night because I'm not with them. I try my best. I call Danny 100 times a day, you know, and there's nothing anyone can do anymore, but our Telford police are corrupt. Social workers are corrupt. A 12-week programme took 44 weeks to complete. These people, social workers, they were supposed to protect me to safety. My partner, they didn't know at the time, and they let me abscond to London when I was 16. No one knew this guy, they'd never met him before, and they let me go to London when I was 16. All they said to me was, call us on the other end. These social workers, police, Kate workers of Telford are corrupt.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up to the A1! They're all lying in bed, they've all gone to bed, and Amy's mum, she hears a noise outside of the stones. There's some stones on the driveway. So she looked out the window, she couldn't see nothing to start off with, so she opened the big window, there's a big window, she pushed it open. As she looked out, all the trees were all stacked up the window ready for setting a light, and the perpetrator was there. All the branches stacked up the window.
Ready to be lit?
To be lit. Where she heard him, this person, on the stones, she shouted, he's startled. She's rung 999, waiting for the police to come. I've drove from Brookside to Donington faster than the police could come. Police took 3.5 hours on a 999 for attempted arson. There's a 2-year-old in the house. There's an 8-year-old in the house. There's Amy's mom. There's a sister. And there's a 10-month-old baby in the house. 3.5 hours.
This man was about to light the house up.
About to light it.
And we know what happened to Lucy Lowe.
Yeah. Lucy Lowe was killed.
And what happened?
And fatality. Arson. It was arson. Arson.
The guy said, the perpetrator who raped her, just so the context of it, he put the house on fire.
Yep.
And killed her.
Yep.
So this is.
I was a child and they should have stepped in. It is damaging. There's some things that I don't remember, but you know, there's also things that I'll never forget for the rest of my life. And no matter what's done now, and you think if it's investigated now, it's not going to change that. It was too late. It should have been stopped and prevented.
In Rotherham, in the north of England, 1,400 children, some as young as 11 years old, were sexually abused, raped, beaten, threatened with death over a number of years by gangs and groups of Muslim men.
Police in particular were reluctant to take the reports from children and adults seriously for fear of rocking the boat with local community relations, because the perpetrators happened, in this case and other cases, to be from a Pakistani community.
Even within those statements, and I applaud them, there was denial. These children and their families, they did report the horrors to the police and the authorities, but nothing was done. Politicians, social workers, police officers did nothing because they were frightened of being accused of racism or Islamophobia. This is not the first time such incidents have occurred, but it may be the worst. Author Douglas Murray from the Henry Jackson Society is, I believe, the most eloquent and courageous voice around issues relating to Islamic extremism in the UK. He joins us now from London. Douglas, I've looked through the names of the people who committed these crimes or are charged with, and no one is arguing for a moment that only Pakistani Muslims commit such crimes, but I've looked through the list. I'm looking for maybe Hindu or Sikh or Christian or Buddhist names. They all seem to be Muslim.
Yes, and I mean, as you say, it's important to say at the outset, I mean, it's not only Muslims who commit terrible acts of grotesque sexual violence like this, but what has been revealed in this recent case is a pattern which has been revealed in previous such cases of large gangs of men, usually of Pakistani origin or around that area. The current euphemism that is acceptable is Asian men, but you can't really say Asian men because all sorts of Sikhs and others say how outrageous. People from China say, what's it got to do with us? There is even now this unwillingness to actually identify what the problem is, which is that there is a particular set of attitudes in a particular community that regards girls from the white community as effectively fair game. And we're still, as a country, almost utterly unwilling to deal with that fact.
There is something systemic and ideological that we have to discuss, and that is how South Asians who are Muslim do have a small but influential number within their community have, as you say, a perception of white girls in particular. It's not just in Yorkshire or in Lancashire, it's in London, it's in the Midlands, it's throughout the country. They groom, they give them drugs, they have a specific purpose. This is not the first, this has happened many, many times.
No. I mean, just last year, I mean, you mentioned across the country, most people, if you say Oxfordshire, most people think of Oxfordshire, they think of the dreaming spires, they think, quite rightly, of beautiful rolling English landscapes. Well, also now, we have to think of child sex grooming gangs. Last year, a number of men were convicted at the Old Bailey in London of abusing multiple young white girls, feeding them drugs, repeatedly raping and gang raping them. This has become something that happens on a regular basis. Trials like this, revelations like this, coming along on a regular basis. And the same story occurs again and again, which is that the local authorities, local council workers, local care workers, local police and police commissioners and others are revealed time and time again not to have done anything to stop it because they were fearful of accusations of racism and or Islamophobia. It's the same story again and again, and we're starting to become used in this country, first of all, to these horrific cases, secondly, to that discovery once again of what has caused the denial, and thirdly then, to officials doing what they have been doing in the last 48 hours, which is saying, first of all, I'm terribly sorry, we aren't for the gang rape of children. Secondly, saying, but by the way, I don't think I should resign from my position. Thirdly, often saying, I'm sort of upset by some of the coverage. And not getting to the root of the problem. Nobody is taking responsibility for this. At no stage are they taking responsibility. It's the same in Oxfordshire. In Oxfordshire, the local care home where one of the girls was from ended up sending the girl back in a taxi to the people who'd repeatedly been abusing her because she didn't have the taxi money. Nobody thought to ask why she was being brought home by gangs of men in the early hours of the morning. And all the people are still there. The head of the council's still in place on £185,000 a year. She issued an apology. It's very nice for the girls who were so brutally abused that she's issued an apology, but she's still in place. Everybody else is still in place. Everyone in South Yorkshire will remain in place.
I've been following the story quite closely, and indeed you are completely correct. I've been appalled at some of the individuals involved, almost angry, resenting the fact that they've been called on to resign. In this country, it was predictable. I watched the CBC coverage of this, and at no time or no point was the word Muslim used.
raping English girls? Who, you tell me, you seem to know.
Raping girls, they're innocent! They are innocent! They are innocent! You don't know nothing! Is it what you're doing? Is it what you're doing? Innocent!
What's up? You ain't. You're in court for raping kids. You're in court for raping kids. Speak to me, buddy. You're in court for raping kids. You're in court for raping kids.
No, they aren't.
You're in court for raping kids.
You don't know.
You're in court for raping kids.
No, what are you here for? What are you here for?
I'm here to expose them.
What are you here for?
I'm here to expose
them.
them.
Expose them then. Expose them.
I am right now. I am right now. You're all being exposed. Come on, Tommy. I'll speak to you. What do you want to know? I want to know why Muslim men are raping young English kids.
Why are English men raping kids? I'll show you media.
Come here. So
What's
daughters.
this?
Your
What's
daughters.
this?
Go on, talk. Innocent.
Hey, come on the media. Come on the media. Come on the media.
So
you
you
talk about Muslims. You talk about Muslims. Did you get snapped up by
Who was?
Didn't get snapped up by Muslims. Did a Muslim slap you up? Was that a Muslim slap you up?
Come on, talk.
Did a Muslim slap you up?
Talk. Talk. Are you in court? Are you in court for raping English children? Are you in court for raping English children? Are you in court for raping English girls? You're here defending the paedophile.
I'm here defending your
These
dad.
women are here defending the paedophile.
I'm defending your dad.
You're here defending.
I'm here defending your dad.
You've been raping.
I'm a proud Muslim man. This is peaceful Islam.
Can you stop? Wait. Can you come away? Can you stop? Fuck that! Will you come away? Can you come away?
Who snapped the camera?
He just snapped the camera.
I hope he's arrested, yeah?
Do nothing.
Yeah, he snapped the camera, yeah? You're a paedophile, mate. You're a paedophile. Who's the paedophile raping kids? You're here defending rapists.
I'll talk to you.
I told you I've got a duty to protect you, but you're persistently entering into what is a volatile situation.
He's a journalist. He's a journalist.
Yeah, that's fine.
I even said we have.
Get your bags fine. 2017, this year, the British justice system is fucked.
Look, these are the girls that are defending the Muslim rape gangs. Are any young Muslim girls getting raped in the city?
By your dad, yeah. By your dad.
You're scum. You're defending rape. You're defending child rapists. They're all getting convicted. They're all going to jail. I'm here to expose people like you, all of you. Your boyfriend is a rapist, darling. Your boyfriend. Your boyfriend. Come to Luton. I live in Luton, you donut. I'm scum.
Come to Luton, Tommy.
What's that?
Hey, Tommy, come to Luton.
Come on. A young girl. They're going to jail for rape. They're going. You heard what I said? What's the matter? People, what are you saying? 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 You little rapist as well, are you? You little rapist as well, are you? You a little nonce as well, are you? They spat at her. They spat at her. It's Robinson. Hey, why have you been trying to hide your face? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Shut the fuck. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Free face. What are you going to do? Go on, what are you going to do? Go on. No, excuse me, officer. What are you going to do? 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 Why are you swinging a punch at me for asking you a question? Is that how it works with the press? Hey, little boy, child rapist. Threaten me of violence. No, I haven't. Who are you here? Who are you? Want me to hold this? Walk the fuck away from me, then you motherfucker. What's that? Why are you getting violent? Why are you getting violent? Why are you getting violent? Why? Why? Officer. When you think of Oxford in the UK, do you think of the world's best university? Do you think of the beautiful architecture? You should think again. The address for this mosque is Mansell Way. Mansell translates as Mosque Way. There's been grooming gangs, Muslim grooming gangs targeting young English girls in these communities. One of the young English children that was being raped at a house directly opposite this mosque on Mosque Way, a road that's been renamed as Mosque Way. In these cases, one of the victims had the letter M, inscribed with a burning hot iron
mark on her bum, M, because she'd become the property of Mohammed. Another girl had her tongue nailed to a table. There's another court case now with 17 Muslim men who are in court for the prostitution and rape of young 12-year-old English white girls. The country needs to wake up. It's coming to a country near you. It's ironic that this road is actually called Mosque Way, or translates as Mosque Way. That actually, and the sickening thought is that many Muslims would have come into this mosque and prayed, they'd have walked straight out of the mosque and they'd gone to turns with their sexual slavery.
Say, cuss me, you're going to be there.
Pardon?
Say, cuss me, you're going to be there.
What's that mean?
Say you swear to your mum's life, you're going to be there.
I swear to my mum's life, I'll be there.
Underage Sikh girl, have you? Yes, you have. You come to meet an underage Sikh girl. Yeah? You come all the way from London. We've got all your messages. You come to meet an underage Sikh girl. How do you feel about this? Should we call the police straight away now, or do you want to do this a different way? Different way, yeah?
Sit down, take a seat.
Sit down, take a seat. All these messages. You come all the way from London, and you've said, if you let me then, and you can give me a job. You know she's underage. You know she's an underage Sikh girl, and you've come to link her and to do indecent sexual assault. Are you admitting this, yeah? Yeah, you're admitting this, yeah? What else have you said to her? You booked your tickets last night. You were keen to come and see an underage Sikh girl, and you've come to do sexual acts with her.
No sexual acts.
Yeah, you said come and give me a. That's what you said. Yeah? You've sent pictures of you with Shah Rukh Khan? Yes? That's you? Yeah, you're not lying now, yeah? Okay. So we have no other evidence. There's lots of messages here. Yeah? There's loads of detail. What do you want? We want you.
Can you explain this? What does that read that?
I did give an explanation of why you.
What does BJ mean?
I'm sorry, what do you want me to do? I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'm sorry. You know it's illegal to have sexual activity. You know it's illegal to have sexual activity with a minor. Yes.
Do you know that? And your intent. So explain yourself. Why have you come all this way to have sexual acts with a minor?
Just came to see her, that's it. Okay, what do you want me to do? I'll do it.
You didn't just come to see her. What did you come to do?
Can we see your ID first?
I don't have no ID.
You must have an ID. Otherwise, we have to call you and get the police here involved. So it's up to you.
It's up to you how you want to do this. So just show your ID. Prove yourself.
Show your ID. So we know it's.
Yeah. Nobody's touched you. Nobody's touched you.
Will you call the police?
Yeah, we'll call the police.
We'll have to call the police.
We'll have to call the police.
So you just pull out your ID.
Pull out your phone. Show me the messages on your phone.
If I pull out the ID, will you call the police?
Yes. Pull out the ID. No, pull out the ID. Then we won't. Have you got kids yourself?
How many kids you got?
Who's that?
He's got kids himself.
Nephew.
How would you like it if somebody come to meet your nephew or niece?
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's not sorry. We don't tolerate this in Birmingham.
Okay,
you cannot come and meet.
My hand's shaking, please.
Yeah, nobody's touched you.
Okay, I know. My hand's
shaking.
Please.
Why are your hands shaking?
No one's hurting you.
Nobody's touched you.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'll do whatever.
You want me to get you a glass of water?
No, I'm sorry. Please, I'll do whatever you want to do.
You need a glass of water?
No, I'm not.
Are you fit and healthy?
Yes, I'm fit. Please, I'll do whatever I want. Please, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Please
explain why you do what you do. Do you know it's an offence to
me? Yes, it's an offence. I'm sorry. Did you hold your leg? Yes, I hold your leg. I hold your leg.
So you've come all the way from London?
Yes, I hold your legs, please. I'll do whatever I please. Don't do the please.
You said your ex was an underage Sikh girl as well.
No, that's in London.
Yeah, but she was underage as well.
No, she was 16.
No, you said to the girl that she was underage.
No, I was joking. Please,
you was joking?
Yes.
How can you joke about underage Sikh girls?
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, please.
I don't want your apology. People like you disgust me.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah? There's predators like you. Don't touch me. There's predators like you on the streets of UK targeting Sikh girls day and night. How dare you target a Sikh girl?
What have you got in the bag?
No.
What did you bring her?
No, nothing. I did my what? My car key, that's nothing. My car key. Please, I do well. Please don't call the police. Please, don't call the police. Please, don't call the police.
My John, you're telling an underage girl that you love her, that you want to know. Sit down. Stay sitting down. I'm reading the messages. Sit down.
Okay, I know the message. You don't have to. I know
the message. No, I'm going to read them out for the camera purposes. Sit down.
Cooperate, please.
You're going to call the police?
She says, are you... No, I'm reading. Are you okay with my age 15? Yes.
Okay, are you going to go to the police?
I'm reading this message for you.
I know.
Yes? Did you send this message?
Yes, I know. Okay.
So you know she's 15 and you've come to meet her.
Okay, I know. Please, okay, before.
Could you get out of the camera, please? Thank you.
Before you, please forgive me. Please forgive me.
No, I'm not forgiving no paedophiles. You've come to meet an underage Sikh girl.
Are you going to call the police?
I'm telling you, you're a paedophile, and all you're worried about is if we're gonna tell the police. Of course, we have to tell the police.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's not about sorry.
Go through the messages.
I'm reading all the messages. Yes, you're 19 and you've come to meet an underage Sikh girl. How dare you come and meet an underage Sikh girl in Birmingham?
He's a paedophile.
He's a paedophile.
He's a paedophile here.
London.
You don't want to be...
Sid Ali, is that your full name?
Yeah, please.
That's your full name. Have we got the license?
No, man.
Can I check your ID?
We got that, yeah.
Let me just check it for the camera.
Take it again.
So, your full name is Mohammed. Mohammed, 1 second, I'm just taking a picture. I'm going to give it back to you. Okay? We've got all your details. You were born in 1980. That makes you 31.
So you use a fake name?
That makes you 31 years old. Are you 31 years old? Yeah? So you lied about your age. He's 31 years old.
Okay, and you got kids?
And you got kids of your own.
Kids?
31-year-old. For the camera's sake, he lied on the messages. He said 19. As you check his ID, he's 31 years old and he's come to meet an underage minor Sikh girl.
Are you going to call the police?
Yes, we have called the police. The police are on their way. You're a 31-year-old adult that shouldn't have come to meet a minor on Birmingham. You caught the train all this way.
Okay, now we're contacting the police.
Yeah.
And the police are here.
The police are here.
Okay, nobody.
Yeah, that's fine. Here's all the evidence. He's admitted it all on camera. We've
camera.
got his ID. He's come all the way from London. So, however you want to do it. Has somebody called him? Yeah. He's come. Here's all the messages. We've got the phone evidence.
Just relax, these gents.
Nobody's touched him. We've sat him down. Nobody's touched him.
Keep your hands out your pockets for now, please.
Okay, so here's all the evidence. We've got the phones. We've got everything that you need as the officers. We're here anyway.
Okay, obviously we need to take a few details.
That's fine.
You got your pocket notebook?
Yeah. Thank you.
Do you understand
Cheers, Gaffer.
you've been detained until we look into this?
Thank you, Gaffer.
I was just going to a shopping centre with my friends on the weekend. I was 12 years old at this time, and I was approached by a group of young boys. Started talking to them, struck up a friendship, and they slowly just started to introduce older and older people to me, and that's how it first started. They were from good families, like they were nice boys, they were well dressed, they were well spoken. They'd buy me a McDonald's, a Happy Meal. And then as they started to introduce older people, we'd go in the cars and we'd listen to music and we'd just park up and we'd have a chat and we'd laugh. They slowly started to introduce alcohol and soft drugs as part of my grooming.
And was there one particular ringleader that you became involved in?
Yeah, I became singled out in many ways by one of them. We'd become friends. I'd spend all my time with him. If something was wrong in my life, he would put it right. He was sort of a knight in shining armour. He was perfect, and he was the first one who actually started to sexually exploit me. We was just hanging around in the bus station and they started to touch me up, my main perpetrator and another member of the group, and I felt uncomfortable because obviously I'd never had a boyfriend or anything like that. I was still a child. Next thing I knew, he was actually on top of me, raping me, and I was being pinned down by other men. And that was that was my first encounter of sexual assault. From then, I went into sexual exploitation really without even knowing it, because in a way that was sort of like I'd been broken in. And I used to have to sleep with whoever wanted to sleep with me. And I had no one to run to or turn to, you know. My parents became aware of what was happening and they was banging on every door possible. No one would help them. It was seen as I was making a choice, and actually I'd had all my choices removed from me. You know, I was a child, and adult men who were dangerous and who were criminals were controlling me.
So were your perpetrators ever brought to justice?
No. I had a really bad experience with the police. They treated me like I was a naughty child. I was the problem. And basically I just need to sort myself out, and if I sort myself out, all these problems will just go away. They treated me as though I was a liar. I've got my video interviews, what I did back then, and I was a child. I was 13 years old on one and I was 14 years old on the other, and I was sat describing being sexually assaulted and sold on my video interviews, and they were interrogating me more than they would if I would have been a criminal and actually committed a crime, and I was an abused child. And it's disgusting to watch. I'd saved all my clothes that I'd been sexually assaulted in, and you could quite clearly see I'd been sexually assaulted in these clothes. I gave them as evidence, and they actually lost them. So there was no evidence, it was my word against theirs. And I wasn't what the police call a reliable witness. You know, I wouldn't do very well in court because I could be aggressive and I wasn't always helpful. So basically there was no chance of a conviction.
Are you still hopeful that you will get justice, that your perpetrators will be sentenced and jailed?
Yeah, I am. And not just, I don't think so much for what they've done to me, but just for the simple reason I feel that these people shouldn't be out on the streets. They're a danger to the public, and whilever they're walking about, people aren't safe.
Of abuse. This isn't just sexual gratification for the men doing it. They are literally doing everything they can to destroy the victim, to torture the victim. They are, and this has gone on, I think there's, in every single town and city in the UK that has an Islamic community, there are these rape squads. And the word used in Britain is grooming, which sounds like something cute, doesn't it? Grooming. Like you're grooming your dog. This is actually a rape jihad by an invading army. Now, what these men do to some of these victims, if I just talk to you about some of the cities. In one of the cities in the north of England, they took a young 12-year-old girl and they stuck a claw, when they got her pregnant through repeated rapes, they took her to a field and they put a claw hammer up inside her to give her an abortion. They have taken young girls and put their tongues on tables and put nails through them. They have branded young 11-year-old children where they've heated up iron rods with the letter M, and they've scolded on their bum because that 11-year-old girl was the property of Muhammad. Now, during all of this, families whose children have become victims have gone to the police, they've gone to the authorities, they've cried and they've begged for help. Rather than getting help, now these stories, when you read them, and finally, when we first started talking about this a decade ago, we were branded as extremists and racists, and people simply did not want to believe it. Now we have government reports and government investigations that show and expose the truth in all of this. We've had young fathers. 2 of their daughters are in a house with a dozen Muslim men. Their daughters are 12 and 13 years old. The fathers have got together and they've gone to get their girls back. The police have turned up, they arrested the dads. They leave the girls. So people, and this has gone on from one end of our country to the other. And only since 2010, there was a journalist at Times who worked for the Times newspaper, who actually openly admits that he had been told a decade before, he had all the information a decade before about these gang rapes of young children. But only when he saw us, who he brands as far right, only when he saw us march in the country did he then think we have to take this issue back from the far right. So he didn't think young children are being raped by gangs of men, we must stop it. The only time he acted, and this is his own words, Andrew Norfolk his name was, and people talk in our country like he should have a knighthood for exposing it. the truth in his own words, he only began to deal with it because he saw the marches of people he didn't like the look of, who he described as far right. And by what I say is don't like the look of, what he meant was young working class men. And the reason we were marching was because we know it's happening to all of our daughters and our sisters in our community.
A man standing up for little girls is not abusive. I see a pedophile picking a girl up, I'm going to break their goddamn jaw. Excuse me.
Do you know how far back this goes, Alex? So if you look at the Sikh community in the UK, now the Sikh community who have come here, embraced our culture, embraced our identity, worked hard, business owners, never a threat to our nation, that their daughters were being targeted in a similar fashion. And they had to set up a gang. This is all documented. They had to set up a gang in the 1980s called Shilla Punjab, SP, where Sikh men, so even up till 2 years ago, 19 Sikh men were put in prison. They were put in prison for going and defending their daughters. And the media always play this down. These gangs were operating freely for 30 years. And our country witnessed the conspiracy of silence from police leaders, community leaders, religious leaders to facilitate this rape. And what's come out in the reports is the reason why the police didn't act, the reason why social services, the organisations put in to protect children, the reason why they actually allowed, when you read the reports, they allowed gangs of men, Muslim men, to come and pick the children up from care homes, sit outside in their car, picking 12-year-old children up, take them away for 3 or 4 days and drop them back in a dishevelled state. And no one brought justice, or no one fought to do something. Anyone in a position of power who tried to whistle-blow and identify these problems was quickly sidelined, fired and targeted. Now, this went on across our whole country. The 2 major cities that people hear about across the world is Rotherham, where 1,400 young children were identified through a charity. So these are just the children that this one charity dealt with during the 20-year period. So 1,400 children. The number will way exceed that. Now in Rotherham, there are only 3,500 Muslim men. Now when you read the reports of how many people were raping these girls, you can ask yourself, so in Rotherham has a Muslim population of, I think, about 3%. Many other towns and cities in the UK have Muslim populations of 30%. Yet the government have refused. There's an area called Keighley near Bradford, which is a predominantly Muslim area. Now, the government have refused to do a similar style report in any of those largely Muslim areas. The only areas they've done it is where there's not many Muslims. Another city called Telford, where I think there's been 3 or 4 of the victims have been murdered. Their families have been set on fire when they tried to speak out. There was 1,000 young girls identified in Telford. There's not many Muslims in Telford either. So if you see the size of the problem in the 2 cities that they've looked at, which doesn't have a large Muslim population, you can only begin to imagine the size and the proportion of how many children have been destroyed in all the other major towns and cities. In my hometown of Luton, the police have just in the last 3 months made 26 arrests, backdating for child gang rape and grooming in an area of the town that we've all told them for years it's going on. A certain park called Wardown Park and Pope's Meadow Park, an area that we've been telling them it's happening, only now have they started making arrests. But I've travelled the country for the last 10 years, meeting victims' families. One of the conversations I had was with a father from, let's just say, the northwest of England. His daughter was taken, and the Muslim male that took his daughter would ring the dad. So he'd go to the police, they'd do nothing. He'd ring the girl's dad, and whilst him and his father, so you have the Muslim male, and then you have his father with him, are raping this young child, whilst ringing the victim's dad, an Englishman, and leaving the phone on the side and commenting and talking to him, what we tried to explain in this country was this is actually the first time ever. We've had huge paedophile gangs, and there's many within Westminster, but this was the first sort of gang-related phenomenon where brothers, cousins, brother-in-laws, fathers and sons would share the victims. And where, when this gets exposed, rather than their family and their community be disgusted with them,
they defend them.
They defend them. I've also spoke to other communities, Hindu communities and Sikh communities, to hear the stories of the rapes against their daughters. And in every single
because they've been putting up with it for 1,400 years.
Yeah, in every single attack, the rapists, the Muslim men, make comments about the girl's religion. So the fact that she's Sikh, the fact that she's Hindu. Now, we hear so much in this country about hate crime. We hear so much about saying bad things on Twitter or Facebook. Here, we have gangs of men who, every single court case, you hear the victim was called a white English slag, the victim was called a kafar, religiously, racially motivated rapes, yet none of them have ever been charged with any hate crime.
I find it funny how a smile can hide a broken heart, and how the masking of your feelings is a secret art. Would you have seen this coming? I know she hides it well. The whole world is really under this girl's tragic spell. Thinking nothing of the glare in her big brown eyes. Little do they know, they're a great disguise. She wakes up, watches the sunrise, starts reeling up the bucket loads of sad lies. Are you alright? Yes, she replies. No one can hear the scream of her internal cries. She thinks there's no hope and no faith left to give. Feels no reason and no purpose for her soul to live. How could you take this girl and make her feel secure? Then go grab your mates and make her feel impure. Cause now she's damaged forever and her thoughts are stained. With every memory you gave her, you should be ashamed. Did you like it when you heard her screaming out in pain? I bet the thought of it is driving her insane. One of the worst crimes that you could commit. And for what? Just for your own selfish benefit. And now she's thinking, do I even deserve to live? Cause what you did, there is no way she could forgive. She was so innocent until that event. You made an indent on her present. Now she's forced to travel down her life on this path. Guess you really didn't think of the aftermath. Was it intentional? Are you delusional? Do you understand what you were doing at all? What a waste of such a precious girl, I will admit. You took advantage of her and now you've ruined it. And I just hope that one day she will recover, and a genuine smile she will discover. Sometimes the outside, it don't mean a thing. Cause this girl, she's beautiful when you start digging in. And I'll admit that there's nothing left to say. But I promise that everything will be okay. And just remember that I'm here for you whenever. It's gonna be that way with us forever. Cause you know that I'm never really very far. And when you hear this song, you'll know who you are. So I hope you cherish the words that I wrote for you. And I admire you for everything you've been through. You are stronger than you'd ever know, I promise you. Just think back at all those awful things, you know it's true. You're still standing here, healthy and alive. And if you truly believe, I know that you'll survive. Oh, oh, oh.